All right, hello, and welcome to your lesson for today. I want to do this real quick, and we're going to split this video up into two parts. From mercantilism to Adam Smith, we're going to look at the evolution of the modern capitalist system, and it really did develop. It didn't just appear overnight. So let's go ahead and look at this real quick. First off, you have to understand what mercantilism actually was. Mercantilism was the economic theory, or the reason financially why European countries made colonies. According to mercantilism, colonies were necessary for a country to become the most dominant country in the world, not only militarily, but also financially. So let's take a look at this theory. It's basically in 7 steps. First, the goal of every nation is to be the strongest nation in the world. That was an assumption of mercantilism. And think about it. No country really goes, yes, we finished 37th place. Why did I bring up 37th place? Because the United States currently is 37th in math education, which is why we are pushing math so much on you guys, because we do not want to stay 37th place. We want to be better than that. That is the natural goal of every country in the world. They want to be the best at everything. Mercantilism. The second assumption of mercantilism is to be the strongest nation in the world. A goal is to become the richest nation in the world. Think about it. Your soldiers are better equipped. They're usually going to win a war. Okay? If your people are better educated, they're probably going to come up with better inventions. This is a basis of mercantilism. The third assumption is from the old world. The richest nation in the world during the time period of European colonial imperial making was the time the world currency was bullion, especially gold and silver. Silver actually more than gold. You'd be surprised. But long story short, gold and silver were accepted anywhere. Whereas, paper money and coins of other metals, they were only accepted within the boundaries of a kingdom. But gold and silver is taken anywhere. And so whoever had the most gold and bullion in their coffers was the richest nation in the world. Now, if you want to be the richest nation in the world and get the most bullion, you have to go get the bullion. Okay, you have to get the gold. You have to get the silver. It just doesn't magically appear on a bus in front of your castle if you're a king. You have to go get it. And so in the theory of mercantilism, there were 3 ways you could get bullion. One is you got to get the gold that you already have. It's underground, but you mine the gold out from your own country. And, France did this, and Spain did this, and, all countries in the world did this and do this even up until this day. You get what you have. But to be the richest in the world, you probably need more bullion than you can dig out of the ground in your own country. And so there's 2 other ways to get it. Now, notice I didn't say they were both moral. One of these is probably immoral. You can take it or just, steal it from a native culture somewhere. And that's exactly what the Spanish and Portuguese did. If you think where the Spanish-speaking and Portuguese-speaking people are in the Americas today, it's in Latin America. Now, today we tend to think of Latin America as a poorer region than us, but in 1492, when Columbus sailed across the ocean, the opposite was true. Your most valuable empires were down in Latin America. The Aztec and the Inca. They had all kinds of good stuff, gold and silver everywhere. And that's why the Spanish conquistadors were attracted to that area. You had alluvial gold along the Amazon. And that's why the Portuguese were attracted to that area in Brazil. There wasn't gold here, so they didn't make colonies here. It was cold, rocky soil from the Spanish and the Portuguese point of view, so this was left over. France and England get involved in the game a little bit later. We're going to come back to that concept. But the fifth assumption is to get more bullion than you have, therefore you must take it or earn it. And the Spanish conquistadors and the Portuguese conquistadors came for the 3 G's of European exploration: gold, glory, and God. Unfortunately, in that order, gold first, glory second, and when you need an excuse, it helps to say you did it in the name of God. Now, like I said before, England and France and the Netherlands, they get involved later, like in the 1600s, into making colonies, whereas Portugal and Spain made colonies in the 1500s. And so all the quote-unquote good places were taken. Where can you get gold? Well, you're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. You have to earn it. And to earn more bullion, a nation needs a favorable balance of trade. This simply means a nation makes more and sells more than it pays out or buys. It's a very simple thing. Sell more, then you buy, make a profit. So, what England and France did, especially England, to get a favorable balance of trade, they needed colonies. And colonies would send raw materials to the mother country. The mother country of what is now the United States was England. And the United States would send what is now the United States, the American colonies, would send raw materials such as lumber and tobacco and cotton and lumber to England. There, they would make finished goods. They had the secret of how to make a factory. Nobody else in the world had that secret in the 1750s, 1760s, 1770s. Only England. And so they would make a factory and build things in mass. And because they could build a whole bunch of it, the supply went way up, which meant they could make it so much cheaper than everybody else who was making it by hand in the rest of the world, especially cloth. And they would send these finished goods to sell all over the world. And they'd demand a high price for it, but it would still be cheaper than they could make it in their own country, these other countries, by hand. And so England was raking in the dough. And they would go to their colonies and say, see, you need to rely on us because without me, you're just also. But with us, you're awesome. Look at the political cartoon down below and you'll see you have the fat mother country getting fat off the gold and silver, the foodstuffs, and the raw materials sent by her colonies. Now, to get raw materials, Europeans needed a labor source to get them, and the route that they chose was slavery. And this is where it gets really messy. What would happen is raw materials would be shipped from the colonies to Britain, where they would make finished goods. Now, people will pay more for a finished good than they will for a raw material. And in Africa, they would sell these raw materials to garner slaves. And then the slaves would be shipped across the Middle Passage to the West Indies, where they would raise sugar, and to the American colonies, where they would raise cotton, indigo, and tobacco. Then these raw materials would be shipped to Britain, and the whole process became a self-feeding loop. So, what were the side effects of mercantilism? Well, you had low or no taxes on imports of raw materials, but high taxes on imports of finished products. The purpose of that was to encourage the colonies to pay into the mother country. There was no use of foreign ships for foreign trade. Why? If you control the trade, you can raise the price and set the price where you want it. There were no taxes on exports of finished goods out of the mother country. But the colonies were taxed to import those things into their country. Again, a way to draw wealth away. Colonies were banned with trading from other nations. For example, the Boston Tea Party was all about Americans wanting to buy tea from other countries other than Britain. And Britain said, no, you can't do that. And the Americans went, well, then forget you, we're dumping all your tea in the harbor. Didn't make the British real happy, just saying that. There was no exportation of precious metals. So currency would be paper money or, in the United States, believe it or not, nails. And we get 3-penny nails, 5-penny nails, 8-penny nails. You may hear this terminology. It all goes back to the Americas in the 1700s. You had centralized ports, staple ports like Boston and Philadelphia and New York in the north. And in the south, you had harbors like Charleston. Charleston was the largest city in the United States, not Charleston, West Virginia, Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston, South Carolina was the largest city in the United States when the United States became a country. And the government would help home industries grow. Who knew how to sew and make clothing the best in the 1750s when the textile industry started? Women did. That's what they did at home. And so they were encouraged to have a business at home to help supplement the income of the family. All right, we're going to start part 2 of this video. Good luck.